and enough signatures of citizens have been confirmed, and that this issue will be on the ballot for November 5th election, right? So those are the updates as far as marijuana goes right now. At this time, though, we have a guest that was coming to speak with us about Vibra Hospital. It's Reggie Lee, who is the CEO of Vibra. And I will distribute these to the council. So, Mr. Lee, if you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. I'm Reggie Lee. I oversee the Vibra hospitals here in Southeast Michigan. We have 3 locations. We have one in Midtown Detroit, inside of the DFC. We have one in Beaumont Taylor, and we have one that is in Lincoln Park on West Iowa Drive. That place has been a number of different places. With me is Paul Brigette, who is our director of plant ops. And I want Paul to share a little bit of the history, that I'm going to tell you why I'm here, and then I'll get out your hairs. Okay?
Good evening, everyone. Most of you would remember our building as Outer Drive Hospital, part of the People's Community Hospital Authority, built in 1956. In 1961. Test, check, 1, 2. Back in 1961, 2 additional stories were added to make it a 5-story building, and it was in operation as a full-service hospital up until December of 1990. That was when the long-term acute care hospital history began for the building that is now a Vibra hospital. It changed hands a couple of times, but we have contributed to the community for some time. We've been involved with the local police department, with emergency management, with the fire department. We've had the fire department come and tour our facility so that they were very familiar with it in case they ever had to fight a fire within it, getting familiar with our fire pump system and so forth. A lot of history there. I've been with the building for almost 40 years myself, and we've always felt that there's a very special purpose for this building, and we hope to serve the community for long to come. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about our building. Thanks.
I remember meeting you with you before, Paul, over
Yes.
something just before I was chief, so that was
For sure.
a little while ago.
Yes, sir. I remember you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the reason we're here this evening really is to talk about the building. We've transitioned the inpatient unit to corporate or our regional offices now. So our inpatient hospitals are now the other 2. So the campus now is just for our business, our administrative offices, et cetera. And we now have been touring multiple companies to look at the space for multi-purpose use, preferably medical, but we are open to looking at anything that can help the viability of the campus. The campus is 128,000 square feet, the building itself. It sits on 14 acres, and it is well manicured, and it's done very well for the age of the building to how it looks aesthetically. Paul and his team and our contractors have done a great job with that building. So my ask of the city council really was to let you know that we've kind of transitioned the building into offices, and we are looking for tenants, multiple tenants, if necessary. And right now we have 2 companies touring that showed some great interest. But again, I wanted the council to know where we are now with the building, and for the community to know that if you have friends, families, businesses that make some sense, that may be medical in nature or not medical in nature, we're willing to talk and entertain any kind of conversation so that we can reoccupy that building. It would be great to have a campus full of different businesses there so that we can keep the viability of that campus up. So that's kind of one of the reasons we are here.
Very good.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Yep. And I left cards and. All right. Thank you.
I pass them out. Thank you, sir. Okay, then we will go.
We're completely leaving us. That is good news.
Send something else, but that's all right. Moving to the consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approve minutes, regular meeting held July 15, 2019. 2, approve renewal annual 2019 used auto dealers licenses. 3, solicit bids, HVAC and DPS offices. 4, solicit bids, ball field lights, Quant Park. 5, solicit bids, emergency exit doors, community center. And 6, solicit bids, police vehicle outfitting.
Support.
Discussion?
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm not going to be able to vote on number 1. I
Okey-doke.
wasn't at the meeting, so.
Neither was I, as it comes down to it. Anything further? Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Aha, all right. So we need to go into the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to call the public hearing to order at 7:50. And this is a discussion regarding dangerous buildings, 1533 Rio. And we have Mr. Myers, who's coming up to the... No, go ahead, help him with...
Pardon?
Investigation report.
This is,
Give their investigative report on it. What's the address?
this is Rio. Just lost it in my head. Yep, it's been empty and vacant for the last 19 months. Condition of both the garage and the building have been open for that entire season. The city council, the city dangerous building board has recommended, under my recommendation to them, that we demolish that building and make the land available to something else in the future.
And Your Honor, members of the council, Mr. Myers has given you the written report, the summaries, and the findings of the Dangerous Building Board. We're asking you to affirm their decision and schedule the matter for demolition pursuant to their order. That's your purview here. You have a right also, even though you're an appellate body, to ask further questions of Mr. Myers and allow any opposing parties or any other interested parties to testify before the council with the 3-minute rule that applies as it does with the Dangerous Building Board. So he's prepared to answer any questions you may have about the condition of the structure, about the notices, and about whether there were proper postings, and whether there's any hope of rehabilitation for the building, but the report speaks for itself. He's not asking for you to modify it.
Okay, well, first, are there any comments or objections to the demolition of this structure? Anyone here from 1533 Rio that would like to
Yes,
comment or objections to this?
we are welcome. We're ready.
Okay, hearing and seeing none, is there anything from council?
Can I ask the size of the lot?
42 feet wide.
Thank you.
So it would be buildable?
Again, yes.
Okay. All right.
That's all we have, Your Honor.
All right. then
If you have something else for the hearing, we'd ask you to conclude the hearing, then move on to whatever actions next on the
No,
agenda.
we will adjourn. Looks like
Thank you.
7:53. Thank you, Mr. Myers. So then, whereas the Dangerous Building and Code Appeals Board issued an order to demolish the structure located at 1533 Rio, said order being issued subsequent to a hearing of the facts pertaining to this matter identified as DBB 19-02, 1533 Rio, which was held on January 24, 2019, in accordance with Section 144.04 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park. And whereas the Dangerous Building and Code Appeals Board has filed a report of its findings and a copy of its order with this council, and with each party having a recorded interest in the subject property. And whereas the City Council has established the date of August 5, 2019, the date for a hearing to review the findings and order of said board, the owner or party of interest having been given the opportunity to show cause why said structure should not be demolished, and the council having duly held such hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that said order of the Dangerous Building and Code Appeals Board to demolish and remove the structure located at 1533 Rio, Lincoln Park, Michigan, is hereby approved by the council of the City of Lincoln Park. Be it further resolved that the Director of Public Works is hereby directed to comply with the order of this board as approved by the council after 20 days from the date of this resolution. And be it further resolved that the Director of Public Works shall determine the date of demolition and shall notify each party of interest as required by Section 1444.10 of the Codified Ordinances. And be it further resolved that the cost of the demolition shall be assessed against the real property on which said structure is located. Such cost shall be reported to the city assessor, who shall place said lien.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding? Parkinson?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right, next item has a cover letter from Lisa Griggs, our Director of Finance and Operations. On May 6th, Mayor and Council authorized the bidding of a new citywide telephone system due to deteriorating state of the current phone system. Albita has been working with the administration to facilitate this bid process over the past several months. Since that time, the bids were open, and with the assistance of Albita, the city narrowed the selection to the most three qualified and cost-effective companies. These three companies provided demonstration of their phone systems to the city. All right. After careful review, Minister agreed on recommending Millennia Technologies as a chosen vendor. The recommended telephone system is a Mitel Connect, which will provide a stable solution for staff that will ensure that citizens of Lincoln Park will be able to reach staff when needed. Millennia has excellent record of providing stable phone solutions in both the private and public sector and comes highly recommended. In addition to providing a stable phone system, there will be a significant savings over the course of the 5-year contract. Millennia Technologies' purchase price and prepaid 5-year support is $84,000. This replaces approximately $5,800 per month of leased Windstream equipment. This will generate approximately $263,000 in savings over the 5-year term, and the monthly telephone bill will range from $1,000 to $1,200 per contract. Other than Millennia, who were the top three? We have Lisa Griggs coming to the podium.
Good evening. I believe, and I didn't bring that sheet with me, but I believe it was Altronics and Tioma, if I have that correct. So those three companies came in after some of the companies were ruled out because there was no previous known experience with them. Some of them were out of state and didn't have any corporate offices anywhere close, so that might be an issue with service. So once it was narrowed down to those three companies, they came in, did presentations for staff, and they actually showed us the actual phones that they would be selling us. They showed us how they worked, and went through their portals of how we could access information on there and do call logs. And they also showed the call recording, which is important for the police department.
Get this, the resolution
Okay.
going, and then I'd like some more information in reference to that. Whereas the city's telephone system is a critical communication tool and continued operation is necessary to support the city's daily operation, and it's imperative that all city departments maintain uninterrupted phone services for the safety and security of the employees of the city of Lincoln Park. And the city's phone system desperately needs to be replaced with current equipment. Whereas Millennia Technologies has proposed a new phone system to the city, which will bring stability to the telephone communications as well as a more advanced technology than is currently in place. Now be it resolved that the mayor and city council authorize the city to purchase a MyTelephone system from Millennia Technologies, including licensing and support services, for a 5-year term in the approximate amount of $84,149.36, depending on the exact number of licenses to be determined. Now, be it resolved that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the said agreement and that the director of finance and operations be authorized to take all necessary actions to implement this resolution.
So move.
Support.
Okay, in discussion, if you could just encapsulate how you came to make this recommendation from the three companies?
Well, as I was saying, we did have demos by each of the three companies. They came in and showed us, talked about their support services. Other factors we took into consideration was whether they've worked with municipalities, how long they've been in business, of course, what the phones, how they operated, the ease of operation for the users. And we had narrowed it down between those three companies between two, and ultimately, this one we chose for a few different factors. One was the phones were much more user-friendly. They were they had a bigger screen for employees to view, and their online services we really liked, so that some of the departments that need to access call log information, it was more ease of operation for that. They do also have the call recording, which was requested by the police department, so that'll be a nice feature for them. Overall, I think we all agreed on the company of choice, and there was also some other factors that we took into consideration. If you see on the sheet with all of the different bid prices, some of those are cloud-based solutions, which means they're hosting it on site. We don't have to have any equipment here. Those are more expensive systems because they are hosting it. We ultimately chose, the one we chose is a premise-based solution, which means it will be hosted on our servers here at the city, but we were able to save a little bit of additional costs by having the server virtualized, so we won't have the actual piece of equipment. The software and everything's going to be installed on our servers that are already in place, so that was a little bit of a cost-saving factors. And then kind of the last piece to it is the amount of licenses we're going to have for some of the higher staff that will have additional features. Those licenses, we haven't quite completed the count of those. We're still in the process of that. But that's why the amount of the $84,000 is a little bit different than what's on the one sheet of $90,000. We were able to cut some of those costs that we initially thought we would have. So we took out the server, took out some of those licenses that we weren't going to need. And ultimately, $84,000 is going to be a very close estimate. The final cost will be a little bit different depending on that. The $84,000 is an upfront cost. So we're buying the phones, we're paying for the 5 years of support for it. And then the only other cost we're going to have is our monthly service bill for the actual phone lines to the service provider. And that cost will range right around $1,000 a month.
Who was on the committee that did the recommendation?
Myself, the city manager, and James Gallagher.
Anything further discussion?
Yeah, through the chair.
Yes.
You already hit on the approximately question that I was going to ask, but I want to ask, what would be the high going up or low going down?
Well, the high would have been that $90,000. I don't think it's going to be much lower than 84. If anything, we may need to add a few more licenses. They're about $50 a person, depending on which type of license we get. It could go down. If it goes down, you're probably talking a few $100s.
If it goes up, maximum of 5?
Maximum $5,000, but I don't even foresee that happening.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
The chair.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Is there a warranty, Lisa, if we're buying in the phones? I mean,
Yep, so there is a warranty on the hardware, a 1-year warranty, but then we're also purchasing the 5-year service contract. So any issues we have for those 5 years will be taken care of. And as a lot of people know, we have daily issues with the current phone system with no warranty, so that's important.
Councilman, did
Through
you
the
have-
chair, if I
go ahead.
could, yes, to Lisa. when are we going to start this? I mean, obviously, we did all when are they going to start installing this?
We are going to get the contract signed right away with them. As soon as we do that, they're saying they could turn it around in 30 days, but more realistically, it's going to be 30 to 60 days. So by October, our new phone system will be in place, and they're going to leave the current Windstream lines in operation for a period of several days just to make sure everything carries over correctly, and then we'll cut those off once everything's up and operational.
Okay. The other, well, I guess you already know, but through the chair, the assessor's office has a hard, they can't recover all the voicemails because the system is.
We all are
I
having
know,
that
I'm just-
issue.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
just saying, so that's why I ask as soon as you can, because they're handing out their, what do you call it, cell phones and that, because there's no use leaving an email because you can't retrieve, or email. a
voicemail.
You can't retrieve it. Okay, October. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair.
From the audience?
Good evening, Mayor. Richard Kudrak. Does this include all city buildings, DPS, fire, police, everybody?
My understanding is citywide, yes.
Okay. In a previous discussion, the city wanted to have a fiber network connecting all of these buildings. Does this proposal contain a fiber network containing all the buildings?
No,
Copper?
no, it does not.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also has a cover letter from our Director of Finance and Operations. On May 6, 2019, Mayor and Council authorized going out to bid for information technology services. Bids were opened on June 17, 2019. Administration interviewed all 6 companies that submitted the bid. Of those companies, one of them stood out above all others. City Administration is recommending Enertron LLC as the vendor to provide information technology services to the city. While not the lowest bidder for IT services on the surface, the lower bids that were submitted had many costs that were in addition to the basic service and overall would have come in comparably with the price submitted by Enertron. Enertron stood out as the highest qualified bidder in meeting all of the city's needs and met all qualifications in the bid specifications. Enertron is offering the city a complete care package which includes computer installations, break-fix items, network and firewall monitoring, and nightly backup for disaster recovery, among other items. Immediately upon coming on board, they will work with the city by providing a full audit of our network to ensure the highest level of security. They are immediately going to be meeting with each department head to discuss their technological issues and needs of the department. Enertron is also committed to working with the city on our information technology capital plan and will make recommendations to ensure the city is staying up to date with our technology while staying within our budgetary constraints. So whereas the city recently went out to bid for information technological services, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council authorize the city to enter into an agreement with Entron LLC for a 3-year term beginning September 1, 2019 for an annual fee of $84,000. Now, be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign said agreement and that the director of finance and operations be authorized to take all necessary actions to implement the contract.
So move.
Support.
Discussion?
I have a question for the chair.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
Lisa, obviously, I'm not the best whiz on the information technology or whatever. But one of the problems that I had while I was still city clerk was when there was problems with the system or whatever, and then I'd call the company and most of the time they would be able to work it out and help me or whatever. I just want to make sure that this company is going to have representatives locally, that they would be able to come immediately in the event that someone has a problem or within a reasonable amount of time. I mean, there's some staff, when I was working, instead of, I'm not going to name their name, but they referred to them as IT wrong. And I just want to make sure that we're going to have representatives that are available and that you can do it electronically.
Yes, we discussed lots of issues that we have with our current provider went through all those. We interviewed them a second time just to make sure that we had that ease of mind that they were going to be able to deliver the service they were promising. They are closer than the current IT company that we have, so that's one factor that helps. They also have a different approach to phone calls than the current provider. They actually have a technician engineer that answers the phone rather than a receptionist, so they're able to immediately start working on your issue rather than taking your information and you have to wait for a call back. They have a very good turnaround time from what we can tell. We do also have the clause in the contract that we have a 30-day opt-out clause. So if we are not getting the service that we are promised, we do have that ability to end the contract early, as we are doing currently with IT Right, whose contract doesn't end until December. But the level of service that we've received, we just can't continue with. So we do feel confident in this company. You're welcome.
Further discussion? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Reading?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from John Kazua, Director of the DPS. In background, Hennessy Engineers Incorporated, on behalf of the City of Lincoln Park, put out the bid and is in receipt of the bids for the FDCVT Grant Water Main Project. City of Lincoln Park received bids from 2 contractors, with the low bid being Brico Excavating of Oak Park, Michigan. Project involves placing a new 12-inch water main to follow the route of the west side of Abbott Avenue from Southfield Road median to Cleveland Avenue, the north side of Cleveland Avenue from Abbott Avenue to Porter Avenue, from Cleveland Avenue to Mill Avenue, with the connection of all intersecting water mains along the route. The City of Lincoln Park was awarded a financially distressed cities, villages, and townships grant in March of 2017 for the replacement of water main crossing under 75 in the amount of $373,000. So you'll. The 2 bids that were received were Brico Excavating at $598,390, and then Paymar Enterprises at $840,260. So resolved that Mayor and City Council hereby award the bid for the FDCVT Grant Water Main Project to Brico Excavating Company, LLC of Oak Park, Michigan, for a total cost not to exceed $658,229 to come from FDCVT Grant and Capital Account 420-001-983000. Be it further resolved that the Mayor and Council authorize the funds to be taken from FDCVT Grant and Capital Account 420-001-983000. Also be it resolved that Mayor and Council authorize the Mayor and City Clerk to sign all pertinent contract documents.
Support.
So move.
Question through the chair.
Yes, sir.
It says 658,000 on the resolution, but on the bid sheet, it says 598,000. There's something
The contingency is at 10%.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I had is that the engineer estimate was 520,000. We're kind of like close to that then, with the contingency fee and all that stuff? Okay, I'm through the chair. I was just asking. I just wanted, okay, that's it. Thank you.
One question to the chair.
Yes, sir.
Is this a company that Hennessy's worked with in the past?
It has. They've been around for quite a while. Ryan Kern with Hennessy Engineers. Yeah, the company has been around for quite a while. This is what they specialize in, water main installation. They're actually working with us in Garden City currently. They're wrapping up a similar project, directional drilling about almost a half-mile water main. It's a very similar project. I've been very pleased with that project, so. Thank you. Yep.
Further discussion?
To the chair.
Oh, go ahead.
So everybody understands what this is. The water main across under Southfield or under I-75 is dead. This is going to be a bypass to bring more water pressure back to the side of the city, correct?
That's correct. There's currently 3 water mains that run under I-75 that are inoperable for whatever reasons. They have been for several years now, and because of that, there's been issues with pressure on the west side of I-75, so this new water main should help bring that pressure back up on the west side.
I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything further? Clerk call the roll. Oh, yes.
Just one quick question. When would it, oh, sorry, Ronald Warden, I live on Abbott Avenue, Lincoln Park. When would this start?
We'd be looking to start this probably right after the Labor Day holiday. By the time we get contracts signed and have a pre-construction meeting, they're looking to finish the job in mid-October.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Parkinson,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. So accompanying that is resolved that the mayor and city council hereby award the FDCVT grant water main project oversight and construction services to Hennessy Engineering Incorporated as submitted for any and all work not to exceed $36,785. Resolved that the mayor and council authorize the funds to be taken from capital account number 420-001-983-000.
So move. Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding, Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from our city manager, Mr. Kopler, and the Technical Professional and Office Workers Association of Michigan, the TPOAM Field, collective bargaining agreement expired on June 30, 2019. The city has been negotiating with the union, and we have reached a tentative agreement. The TPOAM Field has ratified the agreement. The major components of the agreement are 3-year duration, wage increase of 2% a year for each year of the contract, add 2 additional personal days, restore the Good Friday holiday. For emergency call-ins on holidays and Sundays, members will be paid double time. In addition to the major components, we also adjusted health care language, sick time language, and the retirement definition to make it consistent with other collective bargaining agreements. The projected estimate impact to the budget will be as followed. Year 1, $21,565. Year 2, $20,413. And year 3, $20,822. So whereas the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Lincoln Park and the Technical Professional and Office Workers Association of Michigan, TPOAM Field, expired on June 30, 2019. Whereas the city has entered into negotiations with TPOAM Clerical concerning matters involving wages, hours, and conditions of employment for the purposes of developing a successor agreement. And whereas an amicable settlement of the contract issues have been tentatively agreed to, and whereas TPOAM Field has ratified the tentative collective bargaining agreement, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council approve the proposed tentative agreement between the City of Lincoln Park and the Technical Professional and Office Workers Association of Michigan, TPOAM Field, and be it further resolved that Mayor Thomas E. Carnes is authorized to sign the final contract with the TPOAM Field on behalf of the City of Lincoln Park.
Support.
Discussion?
Your Honor, I just would like to say that this particular group doesn't get mentioned very often because of their jobs, and they do an outstanding job for the city, and every once in a while, they need to hear thank you, and just thank you.
You're here. Further discussion?
Question through the chair. On the second page, number 16, where it says recognition, should the parties reach an agreement, add the community tech center position. Where's that going to fall into the wage? How is that going to fall in there? Or is that part of the agreement you got to work out?
Well, that'll fall, so the particular wage scale, it would just, based upon when he started, that's where he'd be slotted in. So I can't, off the top of my head, remember
Okay,
exactly
all right,
what
I'm just-
it
I would-
is.
I
but,
just-
yeah.
okay, all right.
That was a new position that we
Right.
created, and we knew that it was going to be going into the union. I just can't remember where we started.
Okay, all
I
right.
think it was at the base, so it's probably going to be going into that from probationary labor.
16 something.
Yeah, I think that's where it ends up.
All right, thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Leah Namache, our planner of record, Dima Shah. All right, I'll get it eventually. And it's with great pleasure that Lincoln Park Planning Commission presents a draft and community master plan for the city of Lincoln Park for review and consideration. This draft has been crafted by a steering committee consisting of city council planning liaison, 2 sitting planning commissioner members, the city building official, and the city planner of record over the course of the last 18 months. Its major recommendations are focused in the following areas: adjusting permitted uses to facilitate a wider range of appropriate development on vacant parcels, preventing new economy use configurations such as maker spaces, continuing to improve the services offered to the Lincoln Park business community, addressing stormwater management through green infrastructure with the added benefits of cleaner air and water, a cooler urban environment, and increased spending in commercial establishment. Also increasing effective communication between the cities and its residents. The Mass Cities Planning Enabling Act, Public Act 33 of 2008, require a community elected body to approve a draft master plan for distribution of said organizations spelled out in the act, including neighborhood communities, utilities, and regional and state agencies, in order that they may comment on the proposed plan. It will also be posted on the city's planning website and likely linked from the city's website. This is the commission's request today. After a mandatory 63-day review period, the Planning Commission will review comments received, hold a duly noted public hearing, and adopt the plan. So, whereas the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, MPEA, Public Act 33 of 2008, authorized municipal planning commissions to prepare a master plan pertinent to the future development of the municipality. And whereas the Lincoln Park Planning Commission has prepared a draft master plan for the municipality to update and replace its previous community master plan. And whereas the MPEA requires the Lincoln Park Mayor and Council to authorize the distribution of the draft community master plan to the general public and various entities listed in the MPEA for review and comment purposes. Whereas the Lincoln Park Planning Commission has passed a motion requesting such authorization from the mayor and council, and whereas once the distribution period has expired, the Lincoln Park Planning Commission will convene a public hearing as required by the MPEA. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council hereby authorizes distribution of the draft community master plan.
So moved.
Support.
So in discussion, Leah, you want to just comment on this before we open it up to questions? Or
Sure. I don't have a whole lot to add. That's mostly encapsulated there. Just to say that, as we said, we've spent about a year and a half with varying departments and commissions coming together on this plan. The major thrusts, as you've said, are really to try and match the permitted land uses with the development community that is our base, and to also ensure that these redevelopments happen with strong attention to detail and in good form. And we'd also like to, use our land use focus to do what we can to make a difference in stormwater management and the associated flooding that continues to change.
okay, is there
Through the
discussion?
chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one question. This is going to be, the draft is going to be made available where?
So there is a planning website that I maintain, which it is on right now, and then that can be linked from the city's website. I also have a couple of full paper copy drafts, as well as about a dozen of these executive summaries, which we can place about town anywhere that we think they will be found.
I would prefer that you give one copy to the city clerk's office, just so they would have it, and
I'd be glad
possibly
to.
the library.
I'd be glad to.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I have a question too. Could we just make that a little easier, like on our website, kind of like we did the surveys where it's on the home page? Okay, thank you.
Great.
Anything that you work a year and a half on should be on the homepage, I would think.
Yes, it should.
All right, further discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. And well, thank you to Leah and all your committee for the work that went into this. I know that it was a pretty big order. I would say. All right. Next item is whereas the mayor and city council wish to schedule a study session to discuss chapter 1476 signs of the codified ordinances of the city of Lincoln Park. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council schedule a study session to discuss chapter 1476 signs of the codified ordinances of the city of Lincoln Park for August 19, 2019 at 6:30 PM in the John A. Aloisi Council Chambers, 1355 South Hill Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan.
So moved.
Support.
Question, yeah, question through the chair. Are we going to get some information about what we're discussing? I mean, it's nice to see the chapter, but if we talk about changing certain, I mean, what are we discussing? I mean, I understand it's what it says, but what are we doing with it? I mean, are we modifying it, change it, or there's a reason to change it?
Yeah,
Or
so
can
what I had said in my comments, I believe, at the last meeting, we are experiencing a lot of complaints and will have a lot of violations of our sign code. And before we start fully enforcing that, we want to have a conversation with council to be able to show you, here's what we're seeing in the field, here's what the code says. You know, we may have some ideas, I think, of how to modify it to address some of the concerns that may be there. But we're also going to propose, you know, a way to go about this in a process-oriented way so we get input from everybody before we just start, you know, changing the codes to what you think you want. Let's have a little bit more input. So that's going to be kind of the basis for that meeting.
That's fine. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to suggest that we invite businesses to come to this meeting, maybe through the chamber, maybe through, there's another new business group in town, and get as much input as we can, because this is a ordinance that has many businesses have problems with. And I think if we're going to discuss it, let's do it right and get it done right the first time.
And I think, again, we're going to be proposing a way to engage all the businesses as well as part of that. So, you know, we understand that if we don't get the buy-in from all the businesses on these changes, you know, we're going to be right back where we're at today down the road. So we want to get that buy-in.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Katz.
Yes. Next item that we have is from our Director of the DPS, Mr. Kazoo. Department of Public Services is looking to replace aging vehicles in the fleet. The DPS would like to waive the bid process and use the State of Michigan bid price under the MISHBIG or the MyBid contract number 071B7700181 at Gorno Ford. Move on to this. Be resolved that the mayor and city council waive the bidding process and authorize DPS Director John Kazoo to purchase a Ford 2019 F550XL 4x2 R cab DRW with the additional package of Pathfinder model PCB 39-11 CS crane body with a total cost not to exceed $122,000 under the State of Michigan MyBid contract number 071B7700181. Funds to come from motor pool account number 661-932-983000.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion, John, if,
Your Honor, why are we waiving the bid?
well, I imagine they're waiving the bid because this is a price that's established by the State of Michigan for this unit.
And that is exactly correct.
Is this unit one that you currently have that, because it said that you're replacing,
No, basically, we would be getting rid of an older vehicle, but this vehicle is a unique vehicle because the city has never had a vehicle like this before. It is an F550, which is a more heavy-duty Ford product, but the new process for this is it has a crane back end. Now, this crane back end would allow the sewer department to pull up we have approximately 9 pump stations, and it would allow the sewer crews to pull the pumps up and out of the existing pump stations to retrieve or remove rags out of these pumps. Before this, we used to use a tripod, and we would maybe use that tripod once every 2 years to remove rags out of the blockages of the pumps. Now it's happening weekly, numerous times weekly. And use that old tripod method is it's not safe for the sewer department or the sewer manpower to do that. That's why we're going to this crane back end mounted on this truck. It's a crane to help remove the pumps out so that we can safely remove the rags out of the pumps. Does anybody have any further
Through the
questions?
chair.
Yes, go ahead.
On those aging vehicles that you currently have, is there any resale value in those to recoup some cash?
There would be. We would put it out with the, when the police department puts vehicles out for bid, I would like, at that point in time, once we receive this, and I'm speculating it's going to take approximately 9 to 12 months to receive this vehicle, because they have to build it. At that point in time, I would bring a singular truck back before this governing body and ask permission or authorization to put it out for bid when the police department has their bid process.
Further discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also from our DPS Director, Mr. Kazoo. Waive the bid process and use the Wayne County RESA Co-Pro bid for Q's camera system. In background, the City of Lincoln Park Sewer Department utilizes a sewer camera diagnosing issues in the sanitary sewer system. It allows us to view the interior of sewer pipes to determine the integrity of the pipe and if there are any blockages in the systems. We are also able to investigate sinkholes and determine their causes. The camera we are currently using is 7 years old and has failed. The cost to repair it exceeds the value of the camera. The technology in this field has grown and gotten better, and the newer cameras are more durable. This will allow the sewer department to continue with its vital operations. Wayne County RESA Co-Pro went through the formal bid process, and MTech Corporation was the lowest bidder that met the required specifications. MTech Company has offered to extend their bid prices for the Q's camera system in the City of Lincoln Park. Because MTech has offered to extend their bid price to the City of Lincoln Park, this will save the city the time and money for not having to prepare the bid documents and specs for a camera system.
So move for discussion.
Hold on.
Support.
Hold on.
Oh, you haven't read it
Resolved
yet.
that the
I'm
mayor and
reading
city
it.
council waive the formal bid process and award the lease of the Q's camera system to MTech Company for the approximate cost of $55,775 to come from the Fleet Management Capital Account. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city council authorize the financing of the equipment for a 3-year lease through Republic Financial with the mayor and finance director to sign all pertinent financial documents.
So move for discussion.
Support.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
have a question through the chair, I'm sorry.
You're
I was reading the cover letter again. First of all, I want to clarify for everyone. When we're saying that we're waiving the bid process, we're waiving Lincoln Park's requirement to go out for bids, but we're accepting and we're using another form of bid. So these aren't just something that we're waiving the bid totally or whatever.
That is correct.
But in this resolution, the actual resolution, you don't refer to in what manner we're going out, I mean, we're purchasing this from, no, the bid. You don't have that information on this resolution that says we're using this RESA Co-Pro plus bid. So I think we need to, just as a clarification, clerical, we just need to put in there that we're waiving the bid, but we're going with this particular bid system. Make sense?
Okay, and you were the mover on this, correct?
Yes.
So would you like to amend that?
I think since it's just a clerical error that it was left off of the wording, because, I mean, all of the other resolutions have the company, you know, the manner in which we're receiving the bid. It's up to you.
Well, that is the reason why we're waiving the bid, though, right? Because we're dealing with.
accepting this bid.
We're accepting, but we're waiving Lincoln Park's bid because you're using, going through that company,
Right.
right? They're-
You want to just add that following this right here.
All right, so, and what the city manager is suggesting is resolve that the mayor and city council waive the formal bid process to use Wayne County RISA CoPro plus bid for the lease of the Q's camera system. That to be included in there. So that's good with the mover, and who is the supporter?
Yes.
Good with the supporter?
Yep.
All right. So further discussion on this?
Through the chair?
Yes.
This is a lot of money for 3 years. So what is the cost effectiveness of purchasing it versus leasing it?
Actually, the camera in itself, as you see, is a little over $55,000. It was not inclusive in the budget process. So doing it over a 3-year span would be just shy of $20,000 per year, which the sewer department could handle better than the outlay of just shy of $56,000. So basically, it's a payment plan where we can afford to do it.
So the difference is about a little less than $4,000.
Is it covered under warranty too for that length of time?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
long? Yes.
Yes.
And do we lose it at the end of the 3 years?
No, sir, we take ownership,
This,
How long is the warranty?
So it's.
the 3 years.
Okay.
let's get back, let's take a look at that and get back to you on that, because does it say that on the information you have?
I would have to reread
Yeah.
the documents,
Okay,
but
let's get back on that, because I don't know if that's correct or not, but just let me say that this originally was planned for next year's budget to purchase, and actually it was at a lower number. I think we'd put in about $35,000 or $40,000. When ours went kaput, and I don't remember the exact fixing price, but it was like $19,000 or something ridiculous. And it's like, that makes no sense to fix it because it's 7 years old. And so we started looking at what our options were. And I think what this allows us to do, and using this methodology allows us to get a better piece of equipment than probably what we would buy outright. It is a little bit more expensive, and like I said, it's about a little less than $4,000 in interest effectively to do that. But I think it's allowing us to pay for a better piece of equipment than we probably would be buying next year. It's a lot easier to fit the $19,000 in, rather than, the $35,000 or $40,000 next year.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
It's a very important piece of equipment. I've been on jobs where you had to dig half a block to find the sewer properly. With this machine, you go up there and find a problem, and you can make one small hole and take care of the problem. Or you can look through it and see if there's joints or anything that need to be repaired. So it's actually a cost-saving measure because he can find out quickly what he needs. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right, did that one. Next item has a cover letter from Chief Waters of the Police Department. And it's to waive bid process to purchase 3 new patrol vehicles. All right, then in reality, it's just as easy to do this. Whereas the Lincoln Park Police Department is requesting to purchase 3 new 2020 Ford Explorers to be used as patrol vehicles. Be resolved that the mayor and council authorize the Lincoln Park Police Department to waive the bidding process and purchase 3 new 2020 Ford Explorers from Jorgensen Ford for a total cost of $114,423 under the My Deal contract. Be it further resolved, funds to purchase the 2020 Ford Explorers to come from Police Department's forfeiture capital account 265-320-983.000.VH04.
So move.
Support.
Discussion?
Question, what, through the chair, what vehicles are they replacing? Are they replacing the Chargers or the Explorers or? I think that's what they're
We have
doing.
Chief Waters coming to the podium.
We actually still have some Crown Vics that need to be replaced on the road.
Answer that question, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. Further discussions? Seeing or hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item is also from Chief Waters. It pertains to attending law enforcement rifle instructor class. The law enforcement rifle instructor course is designed to provide the knowledge and skills that Officer Kowalski will need to administer and supervise in-service firearms training, including training drills, safety protocols, troubleshooting, student issues, and instructor development skills. Cost of the class is $995. The class will be paid for the police department's forfeiture training account. Sergeant Weir will take a department vehicle and follow the city's travel policy. It's not Sergeant Weir that's going to this, all right. So resolved that mayor and council authorize patrol officer Christopher Kowalski to attend the law enforcement rifle instructor class being held at the Oakland County Police Academy in Auburn Hills, Michigan from Monday, August 19, 2019 through Friday, August 23, 2019. The cost of the class is $650. A police department vehicle will be used and the city's travel policy will be followed. Be it further resolved that funds for the class to come from the police department's M. Coles Training Fund account 100-000-370PT.
So moved.
Support.
A discussion? From the cover letter, I think that was a leftover from a previous, yeah, okay. All right, so discussion?
Just a question, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it says on the cover letter, the impact of the, his budget impact is $995, but it's $650. So it's $650 plus all the lost time on that, is that why it's 900 and something on the
No,
cover?
this was a, I think that this form was used before.
Oh, okay, all right, that's
Remaining
fine.
thing was just on the bottom. The
Okay.
total cost is $650, is that correct?
No problem, thank you very much. Yep, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item also is from Chief Waters of the Police Department, and subject intending Raider, which is Rapid Deployment Awareness Intervention Decisiveness EMS Recover Solo Engagement Training. And Radar Solo Engagement Training is designed to expose first on-scene responders to the tactical skills necessary to operate in this unique active shooting setting. The solo engagement training is designed to provide officers with the necessary mental and physical skills to draw the attention of the active shooter away from the potential victim, confuse and frustrate the shooter, and successfully neutralize the situation. So, And the cost of the class is $995. And so that's, I think, where that came from. But so the resolution is resolved that the mayor and council authorize Sergeant Vincent Weir to attend the Radar Solar Engagement Training being held at the Troy Police Department in Troy, Michigan from Monday, October 28, 2019 through Friday, November 1st, 2019. The cost of the class is $995. The police department vehicle will be used and the city's travel policy will be followed. Be it further resolved that the funds for the class to come from police department's forfeiture training fund account 265-320-960.
So move.
And discussion, I think it's a changing world. This is definitely needed, according to this recent events and events of the last couple of years. Is there discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next, resolved that the residents of the 1500/1600 block of O'Connor between Washington and Grant be granted permission to have a block party on Saturday, August 17, 2019, from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. under the following conditions. One, that the street be barricaded at each end and closed to vehicular traffic. And two, that the party be over by 9 p.m. or dusk, whichever comes first, and the street be reopened to traffic, and then per the recommendation of the police department.
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. What you got there? Yes.
Oh, the miscellaneous resolution.
Yes.
All right. Miscellaneous resolution that we have is resolved that resolution number 2019-216 regarding the sale of a city-owned lot to Dustin Jones be and is hereby rescinded.
Those are being rescinded.
I'll move on this. Do you need a mover?
So what happened was the resolution that was given to us had the actual legal description of the parent parcel and not the parcel that we were selling him. So we need to rescind that resolution and pass a new resolution that has the correct
Okay, I'll move-
legal description
I'll
on
move
it.
on
I
this.
was just done it, not
Okay.
told it.
I'll support.
Discussion
the
on
floor?
this first part? Yeah.
Okay, I just was confused there, all right. No, the clerk explained it, thank you.
Okay.
I want to add one thing. I don't see any fault on the part of the city here. Whoever the individuals were who purchased the property, they didn't find out till they went to closing, and generally, their counselor or somebody checks it beforehand. The city was given one address, and the city just did what it had to do to get it. We got it out quickly, and we turned it around today in about 10 minutes, but.
It was the city manager's fault.
No,
He-
it wasn't your
Yeah, no, it really was,
Well,
because I
since
put the
you're leaving,
wrong,
I guess you could say.
I put the
No, it
wrong,
wasn't his fault.
the wrong,
Let them fall on the sword.
yeah, well, it's true. I put the wrong property description on there.
Bad anyway.
Beat my secretary up with it.
All right, further discussion with that. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Salcido.
Yes.
So then, whereas the city of Lincoln Park owns a lot it received from the state of Michigan in 1998, located on Champaign, described as follows. Lot 291, also NLY, 1/2 adjacent vacated alley, Lincolnshire sub, number 1, PC 48, L45, P89, WCR. Whereas the aforementioned lot is adjacent to 1423 Champaign, a property owned by Mr. Dustin Jones, and whereas Mr. Dustin Jones now wishes to sell 1423 Champaign and believed based on the past sale to him that the parcel described above was part of his property he acquired in 2010. And whereas the mayor and council wish to transfer the lot described above to Mr. Dustin Jones. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the transfer of the parcel of land located on Champaign and described as Lot 291, also NLY, 1/2 adjacent vacated alley, Lincolnshire sub, number PC 48, L45P89 WCR for $1 to Mr. Dustin Jones. And be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city of Lincoln Park.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. And additional miscellaneous. Whereas the citizens of the state of Michigan passed the Michigan Regulation and Taxation Marijuana Act on November 6, 2018. And whereas the act allows individuals to petition to initiate an ordinance to provide for the number of marijuana establishments allowed within a municipality. Whereas the city clerk's office has received such position and verified the number of qualified elector signatures is sufficient to require the initiative to be placed before the voters. Now therefore be it resolved that notice is hereby given that the city of Lincoln Park, County of Wayne, Michigan will hold a special election on Tuesday, November 5, 2019 for the purpose of placing the following citizen initiative before the voters of Lincoln Park. This proposal would allow for marijuana businesses to operate within the city of Lincoln Park's general industrial district. This shall include secure transporters, safety compliance facilities, cultivation, processing, retail, and medical marijuana provisioning centers. The city shall issue no more than 2 licenses per provisioning centers and retail facilities, and 1 license each for remaining category of business. Provisioning centers and retail facilities shall be open to the public no earlier than 9 a.m. and will close no later than 9 p.m. All marijuana businesses will be licensed as required by law. Should this proposal be adopted, yes and no.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
Question, I'm assuming the language has been vetted, so it's proper to be put on the, in other words, you always have somebody take a look at the language so it's clear for the voters. Usually, I don't know who does it, the state does it or we do it. Oh, we do it?
Well, I think in this
Okay.
case it was our city attorney.
Okay, that's what I was asking, it's been vetted, okay, okay, all
I
right.
mean, there may be further questions of
Oh,
the language later
yeah.
on as applies to.
All right, I was just,
If it
yeah,
passes.
and, okay, and then basically if this passes, this dictates exactly how many we have to issue in these different categories, am I correct?
Well, that remains to be seen,
Oh,
sir.
okay, sorry, just asking a question, I'm all set then.
The state has a great sleight of hand, which could change things at any time. So, but so far, we're just acting in conformance with the statute, and the clerk and I.
Which, the reason this is coming forward is that the Wayne County electors,
The Wayne County Elections Bureau.
needs this ordinary, this would have been placed
Right
on,
now,
on the next council meeting, but it needed to be in before the 13th, you
Right.
said, and that's why it's in as a miscellaneous. Is there further discussion? Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next, resolve that the accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. Audia Concrete Construction, Concrete Sectioning Program, $365,377.13. This next item has been a check release for due date, and that's Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, August 2019 retiree Medicare, $46,011.05. August 2019 SB Actives, $128,867.57, for a total of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan at $174,878.62. Next item has also a check release for due date. Blue Cross Blue Shield, August 2019 retiree non-Medicare, $37,056.28. Crest Ford, 2019 Ford Explorer, Fire Chief, $33,214.20. District Court, August 2019 monthly payments, $49,255.17. Downriver Utility Wastewater, May 2019 correction, $7,875.92. June 2019 sewage usage fee, $96,578.79 for a total to Downriver Utility Wastewater of $104,454.71. GFL Environmental, July 19 curbside collection, $115,498.25. Great Lakes Water Authority, June 2019 water, $196,547.24. Hennessy Engineers, General Consulting, Saul Grant, City Roof Oversight, Road Sectioning and Asphalt Programs, Sewer Bulkheads, Emmons, Water Main Replacements, $105,121.58. HMC LLC, 2019 Miscellaneous Sanitary Sewer Repairs, $605,518.66. Hutch Paving Incorporated, 2018 Asphalt Resurfacing Program, $55,210.86. Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone, Bond Council fee for road bond sale, $38,500. And this next item, the check release for due date, Wayne County Treasurer, 2019 right of first refusal properties, $35,065.99. And City of Wyandotte, January to June 2019 Central Dispatch, $144,344.19.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Question, Your Honor, because Lisa gave us the corrected payables. The original had 165,000, this one has the 605. Question as to why?
Yes. She's there. She's already up. I won't answer it.
Earlier today, I had a call from the contractor inquiring about their payment, whether it was on the resolution tonight. I discovered that there was 2 payments that were sent over to us by Hennessy that we received prior to this payables run and should have been entered, but they were not. So rather than holding the contractor up for another couple of weeks, we decided, I talked with the mayor and the city manager, and they agreed to let us put that on tonight. So, you're welcome.
That's for sanitary sewer repairs?
It's also for asphalt and utility repairs.
It wasn't right to make them wait for that period of time. Since
Right, otherwise because of the requirement over 25,000, they would have had to wait till August 19th, the next meeting. So.
Further discussion?
Yeah, another question.
Okay.
Is there a reason why we're making a 6-month payment to the city of Wyandotte for dispatch instead of doing the quarterly?
There are 2 quarterly bills. When they sent the 4th quarter for the fiscal year, they inquired about payment on the 3rd quarter. So they sent that invoice over, so that's why normally we would do it on a quarterly schedule. So this gets us up to date on it.
Okay, further discussion?
I need a new mover.
You need what?
I need a new mover. Ms. Breeding excused herself from the meeting.
I'll move.
Okay. Mr. Kelsey, you still going to support it?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Through the chair.
Thank you.
Then clerk call the roll.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Salcido.
Yes.
Okay, then it's time for our city manager's report. Mr. Copper, and will you be talking about the recycling containers?
Yes, I was going to address that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have a lot of issues to get through here real quick. First, we are in the process of finalizing the hiring for a CMC, so I hope to have which is the city management coordinator, so I hope to have that to you very shortly. So we'll see how that goes over this course of this week. There is a compensation commission meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. in this room. I think everyone hopefully saw that. We have been able to get scheduled the meeting with Beaumont Dearborn. I can't read my writing there. It says something totally different than Beaumont Dearborn, but it's Beaumont Dearborn. We're going to be meeting on August 22nd at 3:30 p.m. at their offices. The mayor and the council president will be representing the city, as well as myself, the police chief, the fire chief, and the EDC DDA director.
Excuse me, what's that date again?
August 22nd at 3:30, yes. Boy, to pick them now from the rest of these here. At the last council meeting, I brought up that I had received correspondence from a resident that is living next door to 1911 Paris. And this is a property that the city actually tore down the house 3 years ago, I think, 2016, 2017. It now has come into our hands through our second right of refusal, I believe it was last year that this happened. The resident is interested in purchasing that property from the city. It is a developable lot. I think it's 45-foot frontage on that. And at the last meeting, I said, think about this. Is this something that you want to be able to sell to that neighbor, or do you want to put it in the pile with the other developable properties we're going to be going out to bid? And I guess, I don't know if you've thought about that anymore, because there are two different processes we'd have to go through if you want to sell it outright to that owner. We'd still go through our normal process where we would put a price on it, put it out public bid to see if there's anybody else interested at that as well. Where if we decide to redevelop it, we'll parse or package it together with the 6 or 7 other properties that we have that are of developable sizes, and try to get a developer to build new houses on that.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
This is the one where he lost the bid through the Wayne County.
Yes, that's correct.
So is he willing to pay that amount for it?
Well, I think, again, our process is we would sit down with the assessor, and he would put a price, what he assesses it to be, and that becomes a minimum bid. And it may or may not be the value of the taxes that we paid. My guess is it probably will be, but I haven't sat down to talk to him yet about that.
Well, through the chair, Matt, what would be the greatest benefit for the city? I mean, to have somebody that part two of what you said about having it packaged as an empty lot and then have a builder come in and make a residential thing, which would be taxable, we would know that would happen because we would bid it that way, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's one of the things that was suggested by the neighbor is that they might be looking to put a garage on that lot as well. So there would be some improvement done through that. Again, I can't sit here and say what the revenue difference is, but I think one improvement would be either we'll hopefully put it on the rolls and we'll be receiving tax dollars again. Most likely a house that's built on there is going to provide a larger benefit to the city. But again, a garage on there would also provide a benefit, just not as large as a house that would be built.
Well, through the chair, the house would benefit more for the neighborhood because it would make there'd be another house and another family and so on and so forth, where a garage would be a garage. I mean, I understand, but we're looking at the long term and we're looking at, there's not much buildable land in the city anyways, and we're looking at redoing the neighborhoods. That's why, know the story.
That's why we want to do the development project, yep.
Yeah, well, I would go to the development project to have somebody build a house on there, because then you're gonna have a resident or residents, depending, how many years the house stays there, but it would bring revenue into the city, and it would be more than just a lot. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, that's where you ask my opinion, I give you my opinion. That's where I'm going.
I would concur with my colleague.
That's all.
Agree.
Yeah, that's the way I would go too.
Very well. I will put that together. It's one of the items that I didn't have time to get done for tonight, so it worked out really good. So
That's two.
We were planning tonight to be able to give the report on the findings from 1229 Ferris. Unfortunately, one of the things that we've been trying to do is locate the video of the sewer line that was taken back in 2016. We found the report from the company that did it, but we do not have the actual video in our possession. And so what I instructed them to do, our engineering firm, is to get a company to redo it. So I'm looking to kind of contain what's going on so you have a good understanding of what the issues are and what the issues aren't. Because of that, I know they're going to be getting that done soon. This week, hopefully. Weather or?
They tried to do it last week, but they couldn't.
Yeah, we had hoped actually to have this done last week, but it didn't work out. So we'll be prepared on the 19th to do that report to Mayor and Council on that particular issue.
What was that address again?
That's 1229 Ferris. Hitting recycling real quick. I don't have a firm date when the tippers will be, or the containers will be delivered yet. I hope to have that. Actually, I hope to have it today. But I hope to have that within the next couple of days. We also are in the process of finalizing the amendment to the agreement to make that all happen, which that will be on the 19th meeting. Trying to just work out the final details and what makes that work the best way for both parties. But I should have the when they're going to be delivered very shortly, if not tomorrow. We did receive correspondence from the state treasury related to the review of our AMARs, which is our assessing. Apparently, what was submitted still did not meet the requirements of the state. We're in the process of working with them to try to resolve what the shortcomings are with what was submitted and what we need to do going forward. Mr. Brazos has put together a plan that we'll be presenting to them. I was given a date from our assessor, but I haven't confirmed that through Treasury yet. But it looks like sometime maybe this month we'll be talking with the state on that as well. But again, I think the shortcomings in that can be addressed. It's going to take a little bit more time and money, though, to be able to do everything that's necessary. And it's kind of in line with some of the things we were going to plan to do anyways, but we're going to be pushing them out over a period of a year or two. Looks like we're probably going to have to speed all those up in the next year. But when I have a definitive answer on a couple of things from the state treasury on that, I will let you know the whole details on it. And I know there was a question coming in about phase 2 of the animal shelter. I am working on that. I don't have a definitive final answer for that, but I do hope that that'll be one of the final things we get working started and nearing completion before I get out of here. So that's coming very shortly. That's all I had. If there's any questions, I will try to answer them.
Probably should have asked the chief during the period of time, but we had an officer that was involved in an accident where he was struck. How is he doing?
He's doing good. He's expected to come back to work on Wednesday. He'll go to the clinic tomorrow and to get checked back out.
Okay, he was basically he was a pedestrian, right?
Yeah, he was investigating a traffic accident, was out of his vehicle, inspecting the damage on a vehicle when another vehicle tried to get around the accident and then pinned him up against another car.
Very lucky. Further for the city manager, yes.
Going back to the recycling. Do we have like information as far as what's going to go to the residents as far as like, what do you call it, the teaching or rules and?
Yeah, all that, when they're supposed to give that to us right before we start the deployment of the barrels, or the carts. So we'll be getting that out very shortly.
So it'll just be what, written?
Well, they will, as part of, I believe, the last time we talked about this, the information will be delivered with the actual carts, plus we'll be putting it on our website, and we'll look at possibly a mailer. Again, was thinking about doing that, and we haven't confirmed whether that's within their budget to do it or not.
I think we can put together a video of what the do's and
Yep.
don'ts once we get them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Matt, I've seen news and everything else, how all the other cities are getting a drastic increase in their recycling. How long of a lock do we have on our recycling to Keaton Line?
So the pricing that they gave to us is going to be locked in for the 5 years. So what they gave us is locked in. What you're seeing happening in those other communities are actually bringing it on par with what our cost is. Because when you look at what they were charging, I mean, that was one of the things that, as we were comparing what they had bid, that it was higher than what surrounding communities are. And now that company is going back to the surrounding communities and increasing those rates. So it's more in line with what we're paying now.
Well, we're locked in for 5 years. Straight. Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, if I could.
go ahead.
May I ask you about the resolution, last council meeting, we talked about we did a study session, we talked about the Memorial Day Parade and waiving the police and fire things, and we were going to get a resolution because, verbally it doesn't mean much, but we have to, can we get that?
Yeah, and I apologize, it was on the list of all the resolutions I was going to do. It is done, and it's resting in or will be resting in the agenda, pre-packet agenda place tomorrow morning. So it's in another file right now, but.
And I guess the other question we got in our packet something about the issue about the lines that have to be replaced, some kind of a waiver. We going to talk about that, or we talk about it next month? Or next?
That was something that was submitted by John.
Yeah, thank you for the first part. That'd be next, never mind.
Basically, what that is for the water main replacements that we are doing in conjunction with the concrete removal and replacement, we're going to have to change out some lead service leads going into the homes. And I don't know, and I'm leaving that up to the city attorney as to whether or not there will be an accompanying resolution. But when we get into the replacement of the lead services going from recollection on White Street, there's going to be 8 of those. And we don't have any on any of the other streets to our knowledge until we start going in there and we find out through discovery that we may have to do additional.
So as you're aware, as part of the state's desire to improve the quality of drinking water, they've now mandated that cities have to replace service leads going all the way to the meter into the home. And the problem that we foresee in that, besides the expense, is that we will be going in and potentially disturbing parts of the structure, as well as the impact of having a brand-new service line going into an older home with aged copper lines could create some issues. And so what was put together, I believe the city attorney put a waiver together that says, one, we have to do this, and you need to fill out this information and allow us to do it.
So I'm assuming that this is what we're going to pass out when we get to that point.
Yeah.
That assumption's a bad word, but let's put it this way, this is what we're going to pass out,
Yep.
and it's been looked at, so we don't have a.
Subject to some minor modifications.
Yeah, I'm just so that we get phone calls, we understand what this is.
Yep, and that's why Mr. Kazoo wanted that to be sent out, so you were aware that we are going to be starting this. Unfortunately, the case that attempted to try to get that order thrown out, it was not successful, so I don't know if there's going to be any appeals or not, but
Thank you.
we are obligated.
Thank
So
you, Jim.
one last question, please.
Okay.
When water has to be shut off, and we know in advance, that's one thing. But when it's an emergency basis, is there any way to get the information out to the residents? I mean,
Yeah, I think, there's the ability of using the Nixle to get information out. I don't know if that's going to be able to be used to target areas, so if you're not signed up for it, you may not get that information. But generally, if it's called in, the leaks, if you watch, if they're called in to the CMC, we will put notices up on our Facebook and Twitter that water's going to be off in certain areas.
I didn't see that today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like the text alerts, though.
Yeah, and I'll check into that, because I know most of that goes through the police department, so I don't know if we can do so it's something, let me talk with the chief about tomorrow to see how we can target areas, if we can do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then we'll go to department heads report. We have Chief Waters of the Police Department.
I'll give you an update on the police department since the last time I met with you back in March. We'll talk about the Road Patrol, Detective Bureau, our SCAT unit, Ordnance, Records Bureau, our training that we've done, our school resource officers, our animal shelter, and our community policing. Road Patrol currently consists of 25 full-time uniform officers. Since March, the Road Patrol has taken 12,711 calls for service. They've made 1,245 arrests and issued 2,690 violations. Our SET program has continued to be a helpful tool for the police department. Officers have issued an additional 4,441 violations outside of their shift work, and it made an additional 76 arrests. We continue to use the SET officers, those cars, to target some of our hot zone areas that have been selected from our CompStat research. This extra patrol and effort of enforcement has helped reduce some of the crime in the city. In June, the police department had several road officers honored by the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority, and the department itself we received the Colin Rose Award for excellence in saving lives. This is all because of the incredible work done by the road officers with their use of Narcan. Detective Bureau currently consists of 3 patrol officers, 1 lieutenant. Detectives have investigated 579 complaints since March. These include numerous burglary, assaults, larceny, juvenile investigations, death investigations. They've solved 489 of the 579 complaints. Our school resource officers, Sergeant Hammerly, Detective Stafford, completed their school year in June, are currently assigned to the Detective Bureau. Both officers are currently working in our evidence room, and we're actually going through turn everything over from an old logbook into electronically. So the big step here for us. Our animal shelter currently has 3 part-time employees. Since March meeting, we've brought in 99 dogs, returned 66 of them to their owners, adopted out 21, transferred out 8, and we were forced to euthanize 2 animals. So those odds aren't too bad that they're actually doing a very good job down there. Our SCAT unit continues to be a great asset to the city. They focus on stopping narcotic, prostitution, gambling, and other illegal activity in our city. They have investigated 170 complaints since the last update. They pushed off or seized 59 vehicles, which with the fees that we received will be right around $44,250. They've also seized $5,676 in cash, issued over 100 violations, and made over 50 arrests. They've also served several search warrants throughout the city since March. Our ordinance officers continue to investigate and enforce the blight in the city and handle all of our animal control issues. Since March, the ordinance officers have issued over 697 violations and investigated 2,124 complaints in the city. Records consist of 2 full-time and 2 part-time employees. They reviewed over 15,111 electronic records, which is crash reports, citations, live scans, and other reports. And this is all since March. This process is important because 15% of all arrests are modified after the fact. Charges sometimes need to be changed in the computer system for CrimeStat reasons after an investigation. Since the last update, Records has collected and processed $8,807 in booking fees and $1,600 in sex offender fees. They've also processed 94 FOIA requests and collected $296 in fees for those requests. Training for the month of April, Lieutenant Lyle, Sergeant Mueller, Detective Sampsons attended an active assailant conference. Officer Eicher and Catula attended a 2-day drug interdiction school. And Detective Nicholas attended an interview interrogation school for narcotic cases. For May, Police Department qualified both shotgun and rifle to Taylor Outdoor Range. Officer Eicher and Catula attended fighting fentanyl school. May 20 through 23rd, Department conducted prisoner search training. May 30th, Sergeant Lyles, Sergeant Weir, Corporal Walther, Officer Brown, and Officer Willis all attended a mental health training. For the month of June, I graduated from the FBI National Academy on June 7th. And June 17th through 21st, Officer Stafford went to a school resource officer school put on by the National Association of School Resource Officers. Officer Belknap went to a tactical casualty care school hosted at Gibraltar PD, and Officer Catula went to a tactical narcotic briefing school. July, myself, Deputy Chief Klokovich, Lieutenant Lyles, went to an accreditation school put on by the Michigan Association of Chief of Police. We'll now examine how the police department can be accredited, which could save money in the future for different things, and it'll help us operate at a better rate. Our school resource officer, Detective Stafford, went to ALICE training, which is alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. And the department continues to use Police One online training. Officers are assigned classes to complete online. This has provided much needed training and saved us amount of money in transportation and overtime. Community policing continues to strengthen the relationship between the public and the police department. Sergeant Mueller's been a part of numerous community events over the past couple of months. We had our first Milk and Story Time hosted at the library. Several neighborhood children arrived for a story read by Sergeant Mueller and received treats provided by McDonald's. In April, Sergeant Mueller and the Lincoln Park Animal Shelter staff spoke with a local Girl Scout troop and explained the dangers of approaching stray animals. In May, the police department and the Red Cross hosted our spring blood drive. 145 attempted to give blood and 122 products of life were collected that day. In June 15, the police department, Rotary Club, and the Bethel Assembly of God hosted a pancake breakfast. $1,200 was raised to assist with our Cops Care picnic, which will be August 18th. On July 27th, Sergeant Mueller participated with Kroger with their Zero Hunger Drive. Numerous citizens came out and donated non-perishable food to help children in need. Our CompStat would continue to work with Dr. Martin to reduce the crime in the city. We continue to target those high crime areas picked out by our CompStat research. Again, this is a blank picture of our map of our city. This is the property map for the past 14 days of property crime. This is what we talked about last time I was here in March. This is the change in crime from 2018 to 2017, our year end, and you can see that there was a 27% drop in violent crime, 11% drop in property, and then 14% drop in major crime. So this is the difference between what's going on now and from 18. So these numbers are still going down. We're still down 5% in violent crime. We're down 26% more in property crime and 22% more in total major crime. The guys are doing an incredible job out there to keep everyone safe. Council resolutions. In April, council approved for Detective Stafford to attend the basic school resource officer school. He's attended and graduated from that course. In June, council approved both for Sergeant Noe and Sergeant Martin to attend the NPED school, which will be a seminar that will be held this September. And in July, council approved Detective Stafford to attend the ALICE instructor training. He has attended and also graduated from that class. Moving forward, we're planning our summer Cops Care picnic, which will be August 18th. I encourage anyone that has small children to come out. We play games with the children all day. It's a nice picnic. We provide lunch for them. And in the past, we've handed out backpacks. We'll have numerous goodies, including bikes to hand out to the kids. So spread the word for them to come out and have a good time with us. And the police department will continue to explore all avenues that will reduce crime while reducing costs to the city. Questions?
Chief, is there any plans to do ALICE training at the high school? Or
We're
anything?
currently working with the superintendent now. I talked to him today about it. It's more of a time, how much time we're allowed to actually do it. So we're trying.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
Chief, when's your next blood drive?
We will have one, it's coming up at the end of August. Yeah.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Chief, I noticed on the residents of Lincoln Park site that you're asking for donations for the dog pound, a certain type of food and bed and blankets. Do you know anything about that?
It's on our website, on the animal shelter website. It's
Okay,
all
so
listed on there.
People can look that up and they can bring the donations to the dog pound or the police station?
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, we had numerous people already come and drop off donations of dog food and different treats and things.
It's nice for the dogs to have a little comfort.
Yep.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
You skipped over it real quick, but I want to get hearty congratulations for the FBI. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You have shown and have done a lot for the community, and thank you.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Anything else for the chief?
Through the chair, if I might.
Yeah,
This
go ahead.
question is actually for the city manager and the chief. I recently had a citizen call on a blight issue, and the complaint was closed out by saying that there is no grass in the back, there's just trash, old chairs, blah, 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 in the back of a yard. Her house happened to back up to the backyard of this person's house. And I was reading the Pride contract, it doesn't really go into that. Who does that when it's not really a grass issue or a trimming issue, when it's like debris or tires laying in the backyard, you know, which is not supposed to, but how do we address that? Pride doesn't do that because they only cut the grass and do the trimming and stuff like that.
Well, our contractor will, but they only handle the grass. But if there's a lot of debris, they will work with us and remove that too. And if it's something that we can just have DPS go out, they'll work with us and they'll remove it too.
So I just have the resident call back to.
Yep, have us
Pride.
call back, explain exactly what the
Okay.
issue is, we'll take care of it.
All right, the last comment I got, and this happens a lot, is going down.
You're gonna be second today, buddy.
Well, go.
Standing room only.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Andy Segedy. Recently, I stopped in at the DPS Administrative Building on Southfield. I asked to speak to the superintendent. This young lady, Julie, mentioned that he's not available. She says, "Can I help you?" Well, I did explain to her about the tree trimming service. The branches were overhanging onto the roadway and trucks were passing by, hitting the top of the trucks. And she took the information. She wanted to know what kind of a tree it was. I told her a sweet maple. And one other asked address, not a location. This young lady, she acted in a professional manner. She was knowledgeable, pleasant, and courteous. And one other item, I'll bring it to your attention, no lip service. Some of you people may be familiar with the term lip service. A lot of this, a lot of talking, no action. Not today. When the tree trimming crew arrived, road was blocked off, orange cones in place. The crew had on their yellow vests and hard hats for the safety features. I know that the EPS in the past has received negative comments, either verbally or written. Today, all comments concerning the DPS are of a positive nature. After the job was done, I reviewed the area. I backed up a little ways, and I was in awe. I had a sense of pride that these guys really knew what the hell they were doing. That's how I felt. They did one hell of a job. Outstanding. If I had to rate these people, from Julie, the gatekeeper, on down to the tree trimming crew, I'd have to give them a thumbs up, a +10 for the whole gang. It really, really made me feel proud. And I want to take this opportunity to thank those people. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Richard Kudrak. City Manager already mentioned that tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in this room is a Local Officers Compensation Commission meeting. For those of you who don't know, this is to determine the compensation for the elected officials. That is the 7 members of council, the treasurer, and the city clerk. If you have an opinion about their salary, you ought to attend the meeting tomorrow night. Anyway, the city manager also mentioned that there's no bond issued without interest. Golly gee, I thought I said that before. And Councilman was talking about the $61 million for the school bond issue. You all know what I thought about it. That $61 million, which is what the school district got, is going to cost the residents $104 million, $43 million in interest. I would, when you were going to put it out, the bond issue for the police and court, I would really like to know how much interest is going to be charged for that bond, in addition to the basic salary. I mean, $43 million in interest that nobody tells us about is a little bit more than I can stand. Thank you.
My name is Adu Shane, and I live in Lincoln Park, and it seems that parts of Lincoln Park lost their electric power some weeks ago. On Saturday and Sunday night, I could not go home my regular route because Ford Street was too dark. I could not see on Ford Street where to make a left turn on Mayflower. I had to go past Champaign to make my left turn at the BP gas station where the lights were on. In my neighborhood, the electric power was on there. DTE says over 600,000 lost their power that weekend. Through the chair to the city manager, did DTE tell what percentage of Lincoln Parkers lost their power, or maybe how many customers lost their power, and why?
They did not communicate, other than through their outage map that they have that gives an estimate as to what the number of customers without service are.
Yeah, because there's all different reasons. Tree limbs, or maybe whole trees were blown over, utility poles snapped, or transformers burned out, etc., etc., etc. When the city loses electrical power, do the pump stations lose their power, or do they have standby power so that basements won't flood?
They have generators.
They have standby then, huh? Good. On TV, DTE had color maps showing where power was out. I think they have maps of Lincoln Power showing where their power is out. They should give them maps like that to the city hall so the city can know what's going on. We need more transparency. Through the chair, has the city been looking for a new city manager, or are they waiting?
Well, we didn't know for sure that we were going to lose them up until a couple minutes ago, so we're taking necessary action at our next meeting.
That's
to start the
fine.
process.
In the police chief, E-courts and River Rouge courts are merged. Is the police prisoner system merged too? In other words, do we have prisoners from E-courts and River Rouge?
No, we don't.
No, they still keep their prisoners there. Okay, thank you. And don't forget to bring your scrap paper to the bins on Cleophas behind the library. Thank you.
Good evening, Chris Starzinski. The Crossroads Revival Christian Music All Day event at the VFW Post is September 28th, and still looking for 50 raffle items for this event. Again, this event, all proceeds go directly to benefit the food pantry at Blessed Hope Christian Church. If you have a raffle item you'd like to donate to this very worthy event, just give me a call, 734-775-2267. Okay, per an email that I sent out a couple of weeks ago regarding something I haven't had time to talk about for a while. I want to address the police and fire pension portfolio. I wish I could attend those review committee meetings, but I cannot because they are during the day. Something we need to continue to look at, maybe rescheduling those meetings. I know that's a committee decision to make. There are several investment opportunities out there. These are new ones that I've been looking at, and so I just hope that this information get communicated to the review committee. This is pretty big. It's something that I keep a little tabs on since I work in international trade for the last 30 years, so maybe I have a little bit more of an insight into this than the average newscaster out there who passes over this information. It's called the African Continental Free Trade Area, and you can consider this the African continent version of the World Trade Organization. There are 54 member nations, and 22 have ratified it. Essentially, this is going to be a free trade agreement. More of that, though, for the entire continent. The only outstanding nation is Nigeria, and there's a lot of political reasons why. I think most of it is because they're concerned about their domestic manufacturing base being compromised, but their president is also reconsidering that. So it's a matter of investments. If I look at this strictly from an economic point of view, there's 29 stock exchanges on the African continent. So the first thing as an economist and something that I would research is to look at what kind of index funds, if available, are available, what's their history. When this does get ratified, that's probably the first set of financial investments will go towards those index funds. That's what I would do. Again, I'm not a professional financial advisor. Do your own research. I'm only looking at this from an economic standpoint. As a matter of local history, if the city of Detroit, instead of doing the bond issue in 2006, if they had merely put their portfolios into an index fund after the 2008 debacle, they probably would not have gone into receivership. So I'm still trying to run some rough numbers on how this would have affected our pensions from 2009 to current. If we would have been in index funds, I would only do that as a comparison. But again, that's the first thing that I would look at as investing as far as this very large investment opportunity. It's short-term and long-term. Once that free trade area is put together and agreed to by the 54 nations on the African continent, it quite literally is just an endless and limitless investment opportunities there. So it's something that needs to be looked at very much in detail. And the Police and Fire Review Committee should probably bring this information to their financial advisor firm in Ohio. I would be willing to put together guidelines. I would be willing to talk to the financial advisory firm, but I would want the review committee to actually approach me and say, would you like to help on this? And I say that because this kind of research takes about 6 months. It's not easy to review something as large as the World Trade Organization that involves 54 nations. So there's a lot of different things to work at. I've already got quite a few things on my plate, but I'm more than happy to do something like this, or at least being advised, be involved in showing them certain things to look at. But primarily, again, those index funds and what's available within those 29 stock exchanges, that's where I would start. And I hope this information makes it to the review committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Hi, Jason Bear, a resident of Lincoln Park, and hand of the City of Lincoln Park volunteer member. Councilman Kelsey, thank you for inquiring about that resolution with the Lincoln Park Memorial Day Parade and city services. Very glad to hear that it'll be on the agenda as a resolution at the next meeting. We have our next Hand of the City meeting on Sunday, August 11th at 5 p.m. at the VFW Post 552 on Fort Street, right off of Seacut. We'd love to see as many new and old faces as we can there. We have a lot of events that are in the ongoing planning stages. Right now, we have our raffle ticket drive to support the Memorial Day Parade ongoing, and the final, we would be doing the drawing on Lincoln Park Days on August 25th. We'll have a booth there all weekend. Please come out and see us to buy tickets and help support the parade. And we also have several other events going on throughout the year. We have what we're calling Rocktober coming up on August 12th, which is a Saturday, from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. It'll have the 70s cover band, the Channel Cat, and this will be at the Lincoln Park Moose Lodge on Fort Street, just north of Southfield, I believe. There will be a door admission. General admission is $5. If you come in costume, it's $4, and lodge members are $3 to come in. And come on out, enjoy some good entertainment. I'm sure there'll be raffle baskets and tickets to be sold during that event also. And that is a fundraiser for other Hands of the City event, like our Downriver Book and Holiday Fair that we have coming up later on this winter. That's Sunday, December 8th at the Lincoln Park Library from noon to 6 p.m. And proceeds for that will benefit the Lincoln Park Library and Lincoln Park High School libraries. And that has an entrance fee of $2 per adult or $4 for a family, which is two adults and up to five children. And lastly, VFW Post 552, they have their steak night coming up on Saturday, August 17th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can get steak or chicken. It's $12 per dinner. It's a real nice deal. You get your steak or chicken, salad, potato roll. So come on out and support the VFW Post. That's where we hold our meetings on Sunday at 5 p.m. And that's all I have for the Hands of the City group. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, my name's Jeff. I was just doing an inquiry and a follow-up. Watson. I'm just doing an inquiry of a follow-up. I had spoke at the last meeting about trying to get some records on a contractor and the inspectors that were involved with this contractor. And I do know that we were informed that if you make a phone call or email to one of the council members, everybody gets it. I did make an attempt with Miss Lillian, and you said you would follow up on that, and I haven't heard nothing, so I was just, what's
Are
going
you talking
on?
about a freedom of information request?
Yeah.
Well, we have processes that you need to follow.
I
that
guess
that
I'll
goes
have to
with that.
explain it again.
Well, no, you don't have to explain it again if everyone else is aware of it. I was not at the last
okay.
meeting, but if you're doing an information request, the best idea is to write that out and submit it to the city manager's office.
That's what, I made a formal request back in January, and the information I needed to get was from the building department. I spoke to the superintendent, and he sent me over to the criminal records at the police officer. I made the formal request, filled it all out, was told that it'd be 2 weeks when I get the information. 3 weeks went by, came back to try to get the information, and I was sent back over to the building department. And I never even got any kind of acknowledgement of the request, or it was never fulfilled. And I'm still looking for it. And I did, knowing Miss Lillian's new on the council, I talked to her a little bit about it. I know everybody must have got the email or the phone call, because whenever you contact anybody. And Miss Lillian, you didn't respond to it. I was just following up on.
Sir, speak. You cannot have open conversation with members of council. You have to speak through the chair.
Okay,
Accept that you're requesting, sir.
to the chair, I'd like to follow up on why I haven't got it yet.
You have information, Mr. Coughlin?
So Councilwoman Ross had spoken to me. I went and spoke to the building department manager, superintendent. And do you have an answer, or?
I do.
Okay.
I took a minute to speak to the city attorneys, and they gave me their direction. I went back to the FOIA request director. We gathered the general information. The size of this document is significantly large, so between the city attorney and between the FOIA director, they gave me the protocols for such a large component and process. And at that point, as of Friday afternoon, I do have that document available to process for Mr. Watson, so he can make a determining factor. Does he want to purchase that process, or would he rather do it online and take it from either of those processes? So by the end of tomorrow, I'll be able to give him a written document from our building department, from the FOIA coordinator, of what it would cost for us to do that process, as large as that document is, or secondary choices he may make to decide how to receive that information.
Thank you. I just was wondering how come it took so long. It's over 6 months. And I've noticed a lot of things coming up in these meetings that people are requesting information and not getting them properly. I just was wondering what, I'm glad that the flooding lawsuit has been settled. It did cost the homeowners half the money of their damages to go through the process, which could have been avoided. But yes, I was looking for that information. Thank you for your time.
Seeing no one else approaching, we'll move on to oral reports of the council. Councilman Salcido.
Yes, good evening, residents of Lincoln Park. Just one item. Art in the Park, July 26th and 27th. What a wonderful day. I know Friday I was there most of the night and the afternoon. Had a couple of friends selling products, but that was the most viable crowd, pleasant crowd I've ever seen in Lincoln Park in my life. I mean that sincerely. It was a great crowd. Not exciting as when I was 6 years old at Fantasyland, but close. So that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Councilwoman Ross.
I too just have one thing. I just want to say to the residents that if you didn't tune in tonight to the study session for the Justice Center, please watch the replay. That PowerPoint is very accurate, just very accurate on the condition of our police department. And I know that you'll agree with me that we need to move forward, and we need your support. So I'm asking you to pass that information along to other residents, to your neighbors, to your friends, to watch that replay too. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Higgins.
Thank you, Your Honor. I too want to congratulate the whole Parks and Recreation Department and sports, especially Maureen. Art in the Park this year was absolutely fantastic. I agree with what my fellow councilman said. That was the biggest crowd I've ever seen at the band shell. I would estimate it at 1,500 people easily. It was just absolutely wonderful. But I would like to go a little bit further, and I'd like to congratulate also the TPS. I had asked them some questions about the taking care of the band shell, and they did a magnificent job of bringing that building back to life. but this furthers something that's got to be brought up. And I'm not bad-mouthing the DPS because they do a wonderful job, but they are so down on numbers. Our parks are in bad shape, and it's time that the council decides. We have to think about it. We have to decide. We have to move forward in getting our parks back into good shape again. This is something that, families are coming to, and that's one of the first things that families look at when they go looking at a city. And it's time that we put that forward on our discussions and start talking about it. I have mentioned several times about how important commissions are to our city. And I'm sorry to report that the head of the Community Improvement Commission, our chairman, has stepped down. Her personal businesses have grown to the point where she needs to take some time to take care of that. And I congratulate her on that. But that leaves some openings on that commission, and they haven't been able to hold a meeting now for a couple of months. We really need some members. There are also some other commissions that are needing members and are having problems meeting. If you have a time, please consider this. This is very important to our city. Some very sad news, and I'm very heartbroken that Al Petrie's Bike Shop is closing and has closed now. And also the Lush Brush has closed. These are more than just two businesses in Lincoln Park. These Al Petrie's especially has been such a help Lincoln Park residents in so many ways over the years. And the Lush Brush and the little few years they were there also had stepped forward and were very active in the community, and both will be missed. But I'd like to just encourage the EDC and our departments to please start looking to filling these buildings. And these businesses will be missed, and we're sorry to see them go. I guess that's it for this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman Kelsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have to agree with Councilman Higgins about the parks. There's other issues going on that who was sponsoring those parks when they first started and whether they're still sponsoring them or not. So there's a bigger issue, but there's an issue with them. They definitely need to be having attention. I don't disagree with that. And I think it should be a discussion for the council because I don't know if the Parks and Recs can do much more than what they're doing, based on the limitation. The other issue I'd like to talk about is I had a resident call me. The same resident that was complaining about the backyard, about the issue with Pride, about there being debris back there. Let's see, this is Monday, I think Wednesday. She called me Thursday to say that DTE and Davy Tree had come out to the house behind her because a power line was down, and they cut all the limbs up and they threw them in the backyard and left them there. And when she asked the DTE person, what about the rest of the cables that are hanging down, the guy goes, well, they're not DTE, so I don't know what to tell you. So anyways, being the kind of person I am, I did a little further investigation and got a hold, and a long story short, got a hold of the regional person for DTE who indicated she was the regional person, she's not our rep. In the meantime, I told her what happened. She was supposed to have somebody get with me. I had called the city, and Nick had called me back, the assistant, and gave me the phone number for her. I said, I already talked to her, but then he gave me the number for our regional, our rep, and that person still hasn't called me back. But if you go over to this house on Charter, it's a mess. You talk about the tree, it was a fir tree or a spruce tree, and the limbs are more than that. They're waist deep in the back, just laying back there. They just cut them and left them. We have a rep for us, and I know the city manager is aware of it because Nick called me. I think we need the rep for the city that takes care of us from DTE to come to this council and explain some of these actions. I also called Kara Clementi's office because I'm kind of curious, who controls the other cables that are up there? I mean, if a cable goes down, who do you call? The residents sure don't know who to call. I mean, we don't know who to call. I mean, some of those are Comcast, some of those are WOW, some of those are Xfinity. So they're supposed to see if they can get me a contact so we can put it out for who the contact person is, so these residents can call if they got a wire down that's not DTE, so they can go through the process. But anyways, I'd like to present it to the council that we make a recommendation or a majority of agreement that we bring the rep for DTE to this council meeting before a council meeting to explain some of the concerns we have and also to address some of the issues like one of the residents was bringing up with a major power outage we have. Nobody knows what happened. I mean, at least they could tell us whether it's trees or whatever. And I'll end this on the fact, and it's kind of like deja vu, but in today's paper, they had a big old article about DTE not doing the tree trimming and all that, and the Public Service Commission going to investigate why the rate increases are so high and going to be higher because they haven't done what they're supposed to do. So I think timing is perfect for everything. So I think with a nod or a consensus of the council through the chair, I'd like to see us bring the DTE person here to explain some of these issues for the residents, but also the fact that why would you cut the tree down, your contract, and just leave it there? I gotta go. The lady is 70-some years. She don't know who to call, you know? I mean, this is ridiculous. I spent most of my birthday the next day, because that's how she called me, calling and trying to go through DTE because I didn't have the right contact person. I don't think this is the way, especially when we pay for that. We pay out of our rates as citizens to have that taken care of. I mean, we pay for the tree trimming because that's how they get their rate increases, and I'm not going to go on with this. But I think DTE needs to come to this council and spend a little time and explain what's going on. And so that's my pitch. The person, this person is still waiting for me to call her back because I'm still waiting for the other person who's, quote, our regional rep to call us. But, you know, this is ridiculous. I mean, I spent 6 hours on the phone trying to go through the prompts to figure, and then when I called the call center, because they didn't know who to call. They didn't know who the liaison was. It's just a call center. So the poor resident, I guess, is really up a creek trying to figure out who to call. In the meantime, the stuff's sitting in the backyard, which we basically blight with rats and all that, just because the contractor cut it and left. And, you know, it's ironic to me that when the lady talked to the contractor and the DTE, somebody didn't say something to them as a PR from their own firms and say, hey, we don't do this, or we will do this, we'll come back, or whatever. They just left. And if you see most of the Davy tree trucks, they have the chippers that are attached to the rear of those trucks. I mean, they're all over the place. You can't miss them because when they go to someplace and chop a tree down or cut a tree, they chip it because they don't have no way to take care of it. So I'll end on that discussion. I think we need to have somebody from DTE here to discuss some of the issues. Thank you, Your Honor.
We can make a request
Thank you.
for them to be at the next meeting if possible. Councilman Parkinson.
Thank you. I have to agree with Councilman Kelsey. I don't know, isn't there a policy or ordinance or about cleaning up your mess after you're done? That's litter. I mean, if nothing else, you could write them a ticket for litter. So we need to figure out who did that. If the contractor was Davy, then write them a ticket. Somebody needs to clean up that mess. And I agree with you on the wires. I've had 2 in my backyard for a long time. And Matt says, oh, well, I'll call, and, you know, they're still there. I'm about ready to time the back bumper of my truck and yank their wires down. I'm fed up with it. I want condolences of prayers to the family of Paul Syracuse. Paul was a good friend. He started in Parks Department when I was there. We worked together for a while until he went to the fire department. And Paul was over there quite a few years until he retired as sergeant. So I've missed him the last few years, but I'm sorry he's gone. People were on residents of Lincoln Park site. You know, all my streets flooded. But you can't put it on public. You know, you need to call. The DPS has to know. You have to know what we're at in the street, what address, or at least what corner, so they know where to go. So you can complain on social media all you want. Social media doesn't go to the DPS. DPS has to have an address or street corner or whatever. So please call your complaint in. The animal shelter, I said earlier about the donations for the animal shelter. Please, those dogs deserve some credit or some comfort. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I was out of town last week. I think a possible, not an excuse for DTE, but that with numerous wires down and they were trying to collect the problem. They may be coming back, and that's why it's important that we have the people come back. There may be a reason why that things were delayed, so they could get to the next down wire and take care of it. There may be something that we just don't realize just yet. At the beginning, I was negligent that I did not mention that we had another death in the Lincoln Park family. And Terry Berrigan, who is the wife of Mike, who is the Parks and Recreation Commissioner, she recently passed. So our condolences go out to all of her family, and which must be a terrible thing that's going on for them right now. We have, don't forget about the open house. That'll be at the Historical Museum on Saturday. I think it's 2 to 4:30. Please make an effort to go through there. It's sad to see Alpetries go. They have a line on a group that may be coming into that facility that is bicycle related, but no matter what, it's not going to be Alpetries and the history that they had there. But you have to move on. There is good news in that the Knights of Columbus has now reopened their building after many trials and tribulations that have gone through. They have their lounge open now, or the meeting area open, and that is at Fort New York. So if there are night members out there, stop in. They would love to have you go in and see all the work that they have done inside. Okay, and with that, I will entertain a
So
motion
moved.
to adjourn.
Yeah, so moved.
Support.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes?